So Reform's one-armed bandit of policy announcements has landed on Zia Yusuf, and his job for this week is to announce Reform's Accelerator Programme. So let's have a listen to what he had to say about that.
Hi everyone, some exciting news from Reform UK. We are launching an Accelerator Programme. If you are bright, patriotic, you're determined, and maybe you've thought about going into politics, but you didn't go to the right school.
Ooh, put a pin in that, mate. We'll come back to that later in the video.
Or you don't have a connection in politics to give you an unfair leg up. Maybe you didn't go to university. If that sounds like you, then this programme is designed precisely for you.
So basically, imagine you're applying for a job in politics. You'd expect questions on policy, on economics, communication, maybe. But instead, Reform's application asks you to design an attack poster against the Conservatives. Yeah, you heard that right, and this is somehow supposed to identify the people that are fit to help run the country. So let's have a look at what they actually said. So Zia Yusuf announced this accelerator programme, and as he's describing it, and when you look at the website, a lot of this seems very sensible. You know, very nice noises about we're interested in what you can do, we're not interested in the school you went to, we don't even want to see your CV, we want to know what you're capable of. And all of that sounds very good. And then you come to the 3 tasks, and 2 of them are reasonable. So one of them is to prepare a piece of policy, which again, for Reform, that's easy. Pick something that you don't like. For example, queues at the drive-thru. Blame it on immigrants. Promise to prioritise British people in fixing this issue. There you go. 1 gift-wrapped Reform policy. Perfect. And the second task as well, also quite simple. You need to imagine you're launching Project Fortress or Operation Fortress for Zia Yusuf and come up with a plan. And again, this is a Reform policy, so it's easy. Find a fireplace, check. Grab a couple of flags, check. Stick a freshly tanned Nigel Farage in front of it all, unless he's currently hiding, which he is at the moment, so then you need to put Zia Yusuf and one other random reformer, probably Richard Tice, in front of the whole thing. Check. Plant a softball question with GB News. Check. And you're all good. Second announcement done. But it's this third one that got me thinking, which is design an attack ad on the Conservatives. Now, let's first look at whether this is actually a serious way of recruiting a team. What does this cover? If you're trying to stock up a growing political party, you need people who can research, you need people with critical thinking. They need to be able to understand policy and find shortfalls in policy. They need to understand ethics. Yes, they do, Nigel. They need to understand ethics, and they need to exercise good judgment. Yeah, good luck with that. And they need to be able to write all this stuff down. Instead, what you're testing for is partisanship, creativity in attacking opponents, and some sort of social media instinct. So I'll admit it's not a bad way to recruit campaigners, but this is a terrible way to recruit competent political staff who are going to be heavily involved in policy writing. Now, I said we'd come back to this, didn't I?
If you are bright, patriotic, you're determined, and maybe you've thought about going into politics, but you didn't go to the right school.
So let's just have a look at the schools that you guys went to. And we're going to start with you, Zia, seeing as you made the jibe about not going to the right school anyway, because you went to the Hampton School, which costs around $30,000 a year. Nigel Farage, as we all know, went to Dulwich College, which is just over $30,000 a year. Richard Tice went to the Uppingham School, $34,000 a year. Robert Jenrick went to Wolverhampton Grammar, which is approximately $21,000 a year. Suella Braverman went to the Heathfield School, and that's a touch under $34,000 a year. Danny Kruger, believe it or not, went to Eton, where the fees typically exceed $50,000 a year. And Sarah Pochin also attended a local fee-paying institution. Now, out of all of Reform's core group, the only people who didn't attend private school Lee Anderson and Andrew Rosendahl. Now don't get me wrong here, I am not criticising the fact that you went to private school. If your parents want to pay for you to go to private school, then that's fine. That's something that we've always had in this country. Whether you agree with it or not is a different issue. I'm not criticising the Reform team for having gone to private school. What I'm criticising is the fact that they think it's okay to mock this elitist system whilst they've directly benefited from it. It just sits awkwardly when the leadership are standing there criticising this privileged educational background when that's where they've all come from anyway. But there is a bigger problem. And that problem is that politics already rewards outrage over expertise. You can see that everywhere in politics at the moment. And if the main part of your recruitment programme is to make sure that your team are really good at creating attack ads, it's going to encourage that culture. It's going to reward division. It's going to encourage negative campaigns. And it absolutely says that attacking your opponent is more valuable than solving problems. And if you want to see that playing out in real time, just look at what's happening with Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives at the moment. She has no policies of her own. She has no ideas of her own. All she does is say the opposite of whatever Labour say. That's it. She either takes the opposite point of view, or if it's an area where she can't take the opposite point of view, she'll rush something out so she can say it was her idea all along. Now, what's also quite telling, I believe, is that their attack advert is focused on the Conservatives, not on Labour. And as much as I think about this, I can't figure out if that's very clever or really rather dumb. Because the Conservatives really are on their last legs at the moment. But it could well be that the team at Reform have realised that in some sense you could view the Conservatives almost like a wounded tiger. They are very, very badly wounded at the moment. But if you don't get in there and finish them off, there's always a possibility of a resurgence. It is reasonable to assume that the Tories could only be one decent leader, one competent leader away from actually being relevant again. So are Reform really thinking we just need to get a few licks in while they're down to make sure that they really don't come back and bite us? Or have they taken their eye off the ball and realised that it's not the Conservative voters that they really need? They really need to be digging into the Labour lead. So what do you think? I'll be interested to see what you think in the comments, and while you're thinking of something to put in the comments, why not have a look at a couple of attack ads that I put together? I don't think I'm going to apply. I'm not entirely sure I'm the sort of person they want there, but these were quite fun to produce anyway. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.